Let me tell you something, life's tough, right? It'll throw everything it's got at you, sickness, failure, loss. It'll try to break you, make you question everything you believe in, but here's the thing. You can't let the chaos around you define your peace. You can't let your problems tell you who you are because there's a higher power. There's something bigger than the storm you're walking through. Focus on that. Focus on God. He's the one who can shift your perspective, who can guide you out of that darkness. When you're overwhelmed, when it feels like everything is going wrong, you got to remind yourself you're not fighting this battle alone. So today, I'm here to tell you, stop looking at the problems. Stop giving them all your energy, all your attention. Look up. Look to Him. Now, let's talk about how you get there. In life, it's easy to get caught up in what's happening around us. We face problems, challenges, and obstacles that seem insurmountable. Whether it's a personal struggle, a financial setback, or a health issue, it can often feel like the weight of the world is pressing down on us. The human mind tends to focus on the issues in front of us, constantly analyzing, worrying, and trying to solve every problem in our way. But there's something crucial we need to remember. Where we place our focus matters. When we focus on our problems, we begin to magnify them. The more attention we give to something, the more power we give it over our thoughts and emotions. It's like a lens that distorts our view of the world. We start to see our problems as bigger than they really are, and in turn, we allow those problems to dominate our minds. It's as if we're living in a world where everything is defined by our challenges and we become trapped in a cycle of negativity. But this isn't the way we're supposed to live. We don't have to allow our problems to dictate the course of our lives. There's a choice we can make, a choice to shift our focus. When you focus solely on your problems, you're essentially saying that your circumstances have control over you. You're allowing the trials and tribulations of life to have power over your peace, your joy, and your mindset. And that's not the life you were meant to live. Now, this doesn't mean ignoring your problems or pretending they don't exist. It doesn't mean you don't have to work through your difficulties, find solutions, or take action to improve your situation. What it means is that you don't allow those problems to consume your thoughts, your energy, or your spirit. You don't let them take center stage in your life. Instead, you place your focus on something greater than your issues, something that can provide the strength and peace you need to navigate through life's challenges. That's where faith comes in. When you shift your focus to God, you're choosing to place your trust in something that is beyond your understanding, something that transcends your circumstances. Focusing on God means that instead of looking at the problem in front of you, you look to the one who holds the solution. It means that even when things don't make sense, you trust that God has a plan and purpose for you. You recognize that He is bigger than anything you're facing and that His power can overcome any obstacle in your path. It's easy to get caught up in the hustle of life and start thinking that we have to do it all ourselves. We live in a world that constantly tells us to take control and fix things on our own, but the reality is that there's only so much we can do. We can't always control the outcome of every situation, and sometimes we're faced with circumstances that we simply can't change. That's when it becomes crucial to shift our focus from the limitations of our own understanding to the limitless power of God. When you focus on God, you begin to see things from a different perspective. You stop seeing yourself as helpless in the face of adversity and start recognizing that you have access to a power greater than any challenge you could ever face. The problems you see in front of you may be big, but when you shift your focus to God, you realize that no matter how difficult life gets, you are not alone. You don't have to navigate it on your own. This shift in focus isn't just about finding comfort or relief in the midst of hardship. It's about empowering yourself to move forward. When you focus on God, you're not only trusting in His power to bring you through, but you're also inviting His guidance and wisdom into your life. You're allowing His presence to direct your steps and give you the clarity you need to make wise decisions. You stop relying solely on your own strength, and instead you tap into a divine source that will never fail you. There's also a peace that comes from shifting your focus. When we focus on our problems, it's easy to become overwhelmed. Anxiety and stress can take over, and we start feeling like we're sinking under the weight of everything. But when we focus on God, we begin to experience a peace that surpasses all understanding. It's a peace that doesn't depend on the circumstances around us, but comes from knowing that God is in control and that He is working everything out for our good. The peace of God doesn't just calm our minds, it stabilizes our hearts. It gives us the strength to keep going when everything else seems to be falling apart. It allows us to face our challenges with a sense of hope and confidence, knowing that we are not fighting this battle alone. The more we focus on God, the more we realize that no matter what happens, we are secure in Him. One of the most powerful things about shifting our focus is that it changes the way we approach life. Instead of seeing life as a series of problems to be solved, we begin to see it as a journey that we're walking with God. Every obstacle, every setback becomes an opportunity to trust Him more deeply, to lean into His wisdom, and to experience His faithfulness in new ways. The more we focus on Him, the more we grow in our understanding of His nature and His love for us. So the next time you find yourself overwhelmed by your problems, take a step back, take a deep breath, and shift your focus. Look to God. Focus on His power, His promises, and His presence in your life. Don't let your problems define you. Don't let them steal your peace. Instead, fix your eyes on the one who can handle anything and everything, and trust that He will carry you through. When you're facing challenges, it's easy to feel like everything is falling apart. The weight of the world feels heavy on your shoulders, and each problem you face seems insurmountable. It's during these times that the natural instinct is to want to fix everything immediately, to make things better right now. But sometimes, no matter how hard we try, the solution isn't clear, the path forward seems blocked, and the weight feels unbearable. This is where the importance of trusting the process comes in. Life is not a sprint, it's a journey, and every step of that journey serves a purpose, even if we can't see it at the time. Trusting the process is about having faith in the bigger picture. It's about understanding that not every moment will be easy, but every moment is part of a greater plan. It's easy to get frustrated and anxious when things aren't moving as quickly as we'd like, but it's in those moments that we need to lean into the belief that the process is working for us, not against us. We can't always see the outcome, and we can't always control what happens along the way, but if we trust that God has a purpose for every season of our lives, it makes the waiting easier to endure. The truth is, growth doesn't happen overnight. We often want the results, but we don't want to go through the necessary stages of growth that lead to those results. There's a process, a sequence of events that need to unfold before we can fully appreciate what's waiting on the other side. Just like a seed needs time to grow into a tree, we need time to develop and mature in our faith, character, and understanding. If we rush through the process or try to skip steps, we miss out on the lessons that are meant to strengthen us for the future. One of the hardest things to do when life seems tough is to wait. We live in a world that's used to instant gratification. We have fast food, fast internet, fast everything. But the most significant changes in our lives, the most profound lessons, don't come instantly. They take time. They take patience. They take trust. And trusting the process means letting go of the need for immediate results and embracing the journey, knowing that there's value in each step, even the difficult ones. In the midst of uncertainty, when things are difficult and nothing seems to be going your way, it can feel like you're stuck in a never-ending cycle of failure or frustration. But what if the waiting, the struggle is precisely what you need to move forward? What if that hardship is shaping you in ways you can't yet understand? Trusting the process means accepting that God is working, even when we can't see or feel it. His plan is always bigger than our momentary discomfort. There's a story in the Bible about Joseph, who faced years of hardship, rejection, and betrayal. He was sold into slavery by his own brothers, wrongly imprisoned, and lived through years of suffering. Yet through it all, Joseph remained faithful to God, and in time, God used his pain and struggle to bring him to a place of authority. where he could help his family and others during a time of famine. Joseph didn't understand why he was going through all that he was, but he trusted that God had a purpose for every step of his journey. And in the end, it was through his trials that God's greater plan was revealed. The process, though painful, was necessary to bring about a greater good. When you trust the process, you allow yourself to surrender control. We all like to think we're in charge of our lives, that we can make things happen if we work hard enough or fight long enough. But the reality is that there are things beyond our control, circumstances, people, even our own limitations, that we cannot change. The key is not to fight against those things, but to trust that God is in control, even when things don't go according to our plan. We have to trust that He knows the way forward, even when the path ahead is unclear. It's easy to trust God when everything is going well, when everything is aligned and life feels smooth. But the true test of trust comes in the moments when everything is uncertain, when the storm is raging and we don't know what's going to happen next. Those are the moments when we need to lean in the hardest, when we need to dig deep and remind ourselves that God's timing is perfect. He's not in a rush, and we don't need to be either. Trusting the process means knowing that even when you don't understand the delay or the struggle, God is working things out in His perfect timing. This process of growth and trust is also about building resilience. Life has a way of testing us, pushing us beyond our limits. But in those moments of struggle, we build character. We develop a strength we didn't know we had. We learn patience, perseverance, and the importance of not giving up. These qualities are not developed in times of ease, but in the most challenging moments of our lives. The process refines us, shaping us into the people we need to be for the future. If we didn't have these tests, we wouldn't know what we're capable of. We wouldn't develop the depth of faith and strength required to face even greater challenges down the road. We also have to remember that trusting the process doesn't mean passive waiting. It doesn't mean sitting back and doing nothing while life unfolds. It means staying active in your faith, continuing to move forward even when the way seems unclear. It means doing what you can, even when it feels like there's not much to be done. Trusting the process doesn't mean sitting idly by. It means trusting that the steps you're taking are leading somewhere, even if you can't see the destination yet. It means staying faithful to the work, trusting that God is using it to shape your future. This process, this journey is not about perfection. It's about progress. It's about moving forward step by step, even if that means stumbling a little along the way. You don't need to have everything figured out right now. You don't need to have all the answers. What matters is that you keep trusting, keep moving forward, and keep believing that God is in control of the process. Each step you take, even in uncertainty, is a step closer to the person God is calling you to be. It's in this trust and patience that the deepest growth occurs and the most beautiful results begin to unfold. Fear is a natural part of the human experience. It's an emotion that we all encounter at various points in our lives, whether it's fear of the unknown, fear of failure, fear of rejection, or fear of not being good enough. It's something that everyone faces, and in many ways, fear can be a powerful motivator. It can push us to take action, to prepare, and to protect ourselves. But when fear takes control, when it becomes the driving force in our lives, it holds us back. Fear can paralyze us, make us second-guess our decisions, and prevent us from stepping out in faith. In those moments when fear begins to dominate, we need to remind ourselves that we have a choice. We don't have to let fear control our lives. We have the power to choose faith over fear. When we choose faith, we shift our focus from the limitations of our circumstances to the limitless power of God. We stop seeing ourselves as powerless in the face of fear, and we start to see ourselves through the lens of the strength that God gives us. Faith and fear cannot coexist. You can't fully trust in God and simultaneously be consumed by fear. The two are opposites. Faith is the confidence in things hoped for, the belief that even when we can't see the way forward, God is working on our behalf. Fear, on the other hand, magnifies the obstacles in front of us and makes them seem insurmountable. Fear tells us that we're not capable, that we're not strong enough, and that we won't make it. But when we choose faith, we're choosing to believe that no matter how difficult or scary the situation may seem, God has already made a way. Faith allows us to move forward even when we don't have all the answers. It allows us to step into the unknown with the confidence that God is with us every step of the way. Faith doesn't mean that we're not afraid. It means that we don't let fear determine our actions. It's about taking action in the face of fear, knowing that God is bigger than whatever it is that threatens us. When we choose faith, we're choosing to trust in the unseen, the promises of God, and the truth that He has a purpose for our lives. One of the biggest mistakes we can make is letting fear stop us from moving forward. Fear can be incredibly paralyzing. It whispers lies to us, telling us that we're not good enough, that we're not ready, or that we'll fail. Fear convinces us to play it safe, to stay in our comfort zones, and to avoid the risks that could lead to growth. But growth doesn't happen when we stay comfortable. It happens when we step out in faith, even when it scares us. Choosing faith over fear doesn't mean we won't feel afraid. It doesn't mean we won't experience anxiety or uncertainty. It means that despite those feelings, we choose to act in faith, to trust that God will guide us through. It means we refuse to let fear control our decisions. It's about acknowledging the fear, but not allowing it to dictate our actions or our mindset. Instead of shrinking back in fear, we rise up in faith, knowing that God is with us and that His power is greater than any fear we may face. We need to understand that fear is often a product of our own minds. It's not always based on reality. It's based on what we imagine could happen. It's a future that we haven't even experienced yet. And often the things we fear the most never come to pass. Fear can cause us to catastrophize, to envision the worst case scenarios, and to imagine outcomes that are far worse than what we'll ever face. But when we choose faith, we remind ourselves that God has already gone ahead of us, that He has already equipped us with everything we need to overcome whatever comes our way. When we face fear, we often find ourselves questioning our abilities, wondering if we're capable of handling the challenges ahead. But God doesn't call us to do things in our own strength. He doesn't expect us to have all the answers or to be perfect. He calls us to trust in Him, to rely on His power, and to step out in faith, even when we don't feel fully prepared. It's not about having everything figured out. It's about trusting that God has already prepared the way. There's a profound peace that comes with choosing faith over fear. When we let go of the need to control every outcome, when we surrender our fears to God, we experience a sense of calm that transcends understanding. We can face the challenges ahead with confidence, knowing that God has us in the palm of His hand. We don't have to fear the unknown because we know the one who holds the future. Choosing faith over fear is choosing peace over anxiety, courage over doubt, and trust over worry.